Okay, here we go with Dark Forces Level 2. Whether it's Talay or Talay, yeah, I don't know. Tac base.
I need clarification from LucasArts.
Bakura or Bakura? That is the question.
I always said Bakura.
I always said Bakura. I know other people have said Bakura. But even some of the audio dramas, like Dark Empire, they say Coruscant. Because they weren't sure of that back then. Yeah. But to me, it was obviously Coruscant because it comes from the word,
They did not have the benefit of Rick Ollie.
Yeah, I know, right?
Captain Obvious. Captain Exposition.
Right. All right, so rumors of the Dark Trooper. Hearing about it through Crix Maydeen, who's still with the Empire at this point, but he's slipping out information. And
I feel like the Empire wouldn't let him get away with that haircut, though.
No way, right? That's just like
it's not
an abomination.
I mean, how would he fit an Imperial hat on that?
No kidding.
Head of hair.
Well, then again, I mean, the Death Star officers had mutton chops, so I guess the Empire was letting
a little loose.
A few things slide. I kind of like that when there's a Star Wars comic or something that draws the officers with mutton chops. It really gives it that A New Hope callback, specifically to the late 70s, as opposed to Empire and Jedi, which are beginning that transition into the 80s on the haircuts and styles.
That's when the Emperor was tightening up.
Yeah, he was really just tightening up on those long hair hippies.
Well, it's kind of like Star Trek, right? They got the Star Trek has the sideburns that go to a point.
Oh yeah, right.
That's like their little thing,
right? There's something else I was gonna do real quick.
Okay. I can't do a general tag cosplay because I can't grow sideburns like that guy.
Yeah, those are some serious
really sad
chops, man.
Super, super sad.
I got that great MIDI. I forgot about this. Go this way.
Every time we play these old games, we always talk about it, but really miss iMuse.
I know, man.
I feel like nowadays they could, I don't know, they could do some really great stuff with MIDI, like, because you don't really need I don't think you need like hardware MIDI anymore.
Right. Yeah, there was just something about the charm of it back then in the 90s. Couldn't really do movie quality audio, even on a CD-ROM. If you sampled stuff, it still had a very staticky, low-res quality to it, at least for a few years. It wasn't really until Red Book Audio that it started sounding better in the late 90s. But yeah, man, there's
and obviously if you use Red Book, you can't. It's really difficult to transition. The music based on the action going on.
Right.
Then it just becomes a crutch. Not really a crutch, but like laziness.
Yeah.
For the developers.
But of course, us as fans at the time, we were excited by the Red Book Audio because we were part of that transition. So we're like, oh, good. Now we don't have to hear that crappy MIDI anymore. It's back to feeling like the movies. Although now, because of nostalgia, we want the MIDI, or at least the most authentic experience, whatever the game may be.
Well, and certain tracks were just run into the ground by the games.
Yeah. Yes. Lots of the Star Wars action music from A New Hope and Empire were just used over and over in all Star Wars games, at least the ones these days, give them credit for doing original scores and having the staff of the $1 million budget to be able to do that, you know.
Right.
And they do sound really good. The scores for EA's Battlefront 1 and 2, Jedi Fallen Order, and even the VR stuff like Vader Immortal, they do an amazing job of recreating a facsimile of John Williams. You know, where it sounds like, well, it sounds like modern John Williams, because he's just kind of, I don't want to say generic, but he's been on autopilot for his action cues for Star Wars for a while now. I mean, you know, he's old. He can't do the same thing
he's
forever.
old, and my thought is that JJ and Ryan probably weren't super invested in the music, so
but at least he created amazing new themes in 2 or 3 cases.
He did do that. It's just I wouldn't go back and listen to the soundtracks for the sequel trilogy like I would. I mean, Rey's theme is great, Kylo's theme is great, there are some great themes in there. He definitely has that going for him, but like, I just don't feel like JJ or Ryan probably spent a lot of time with John, you know, communicating what they wanted and even having like an idea of what they wanted. They probably just were like, yeah, just do whatever you want.
Right. That makes sense. Actually, when I was re-listening to the Rise of Skywalker score about a week ago, a lot of times I'll just put it on while I'm reading a Star Wars book or whatever, you know, just like the other soundtracks. Mm-hmm. And I was noticing how so much of it reminded me of Hook. You know, like whenever he does like a soft kind of playful theme, it always I'm like, oh, this sounds like Hook, you know, or something along that line.
Well, it's like listening to the soundtrack for The Phantom Menace and then listening to the soundtrack for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, which movie is this?
I know. Yeah, very, very similar. Damn, locked. Gotta remember. I remember certain things about this level, but it's so sprawling compared to the first one. Actually, that's
a little mazy.
A little mazy too, because you got these cubicles everywhere, and that's the thing about this game and Jedi Knight. The levels are very sprawling, and there is no arrows or hints of where to go. You just have to fumble your way through, and that's good and bad. It's bad for time, so we can fill these out with conversation, thankfully. But it's good in that you don't feel like your hand is being held with modern games being the way they are. And I gotta turn on the hydroelectric generator so these doors and stuff can open properly, but I thought I had okay, this is where I want to be. Here is my authorization. McBang.
What is it? Are the stormtroopers yelling or the sound of the blaster hitting the wall?
The blaster is very, it has a very almost verbal sound in this game.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I always thought the same thing. It's always cool seeing the charred bodies of the Dark Trooper victims.
Yeah. Maybe that's it was a Dark Trooper that took out Uncle Owen and Baru.
Sent by Prince Shizor. Remember that?
Prototype.
I don't know if you remember, it's been years since we both read the Bounty Hunter Wars, but remember there was that implication. It was a false rumor by the end of the trilogy, but there was this implication that Shizor ordered the stormtroopers to kill Owen and Beru as a way of setting in motion, I think, Luke or something.
That does sound familiar. Usually when I think of that trilogy, I just think of Barv and Kudar Mubat.
Yeah, right.
That's the only things that stick out in my head.
And I almost
and my betrothed.
Yeah, betrothed for Manaru. But I almost recall there was even a holo that like Shizor or somebody is looking at, or maybe it is Shizor just looking at the holo of it as it happened, but somewhere that scene plays into the plot of someone has a data tape of it happening and trying to blame Shizor.
Star Wars conspiracy theories.
Right. Okay, hydroelectric is on.
I had a whole conspiracy theory regarding the Death Stars.
Oh yeah?
And now I don't remember what it was. It was something.
There's been a few good fan ones over the years, like, or I mean, just like in-universe ones by fans, like, you know, if the Star Wars galaxy being just a mirror of our own, that there's going to be like a sect of people that believe the Death Star either didn't exist or that it did blow up and was, rebel terrorists. Like, really, like, they would definitely be Imperial citizens believing that.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, probably 99% of the Death Star staff was innocent. They were just doing their jobs, and Luke blew them up. So,
okay,
what are you
Randall.
Gonna do?
Okay, Randall.
Right. There we go. There we go. Briar Pistol's still a really good dead shot.
You should just use that exclusively. This playthrough will take 15 hours waiting for that gun to shoot.
I know, right?
You actually do have to use it in on hard because just how much more shooting you have to do, and the Stormtrooper blaster just uses way too much ammo.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
That's very true. Even when I just did a few levels on medium, that was something I was noticing. Okay. Look how well that trimmed that lawn is.
Mm-hmm. It's the one and only time you'll probably see a lawn in this game.
Or any Star Wars game for that matter.
Thinking about The Rise of Skywalker now, whatever the conspiracy theory was that I was thinking of, certainly now the case could be made that maybe Palpatine wanted the Death Star to blow up.
Yeah.
Or something.
I mean, yeah, who knows? And then in the canon, for after Return of the Jedi, there's this big Imperial project called Operation Cinder, which is basically he is purposely destroying.
Is that a secret? Go
over
back.
Here.
Is that a secret right there to the left? No. There's a texture that's different. Go forward.
Over here,
and then on your right. Yeah. See?
I don't think it is.
To your left. To your left.
Over
See
here.
That little.
Oh.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but it's definitely ramshackle the way they put some of these textures out there.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so there's this thing called Operation Cinder, it was the final decree of the emperor. If he died, he wanted basically the empire to be completely taken out. So there was these satellites put over key planets that just beamed down energy to change the weather and just wipe out the planet with natural resources. And this happened on Naboo. It happened on the Imperial Government World, which I can't remember the name of. It not Coruscant, but it had another name. And
what was this in?
This was in Shattered Empire,
okay,
post Return of the Jedi comic series. But then it was also tied into the plot of Battlefront 2 in the campaign mode. So you see that actually play out just like in the comic. And then I think it was also...
That's how you know they weren't planning any of that stuff from Rise of Skywalker.
Well, but
there's no way
But there was some interesting, I think, serendipitous parallels, because then you had this thing like in the Aftermath books, which I've not read, but again, I'm going from summaries and things people have told me, that there was like a secret bunker that the Emperor had like on Jakku and other planets, almost like he was preparing things in the unknown region, or not the unknown regions, but on the edge of wild space, like where Jakku is. And it just, I felt like...
you had to be ready for the Yuzin Vong.
Right. But I gotta say, having Rey also be on Jakku, that's what's made some people theorize that there was something special about that planet or something. And, I mean, it's just a happy accident, I think. Because that was 2015 when the first Aftermath book came out. So that was a good 4 years before Rise of Skywalker. And yeah, I think it's just a good happy accident. It makes everything feel more connected. And these bunkers in some cases just had like Jedi artifacts and Sith artifacts, and they were just kind of like these repositories.
Time travel crystals.
Yeah. Sometimes on the iMuse of this game, you get those classic John Williams themes, and you hear like like this one right now is going. Same music as when Han blasts out of Mos Eisley.
It's more forgivable in MIDI, than the actual like the Red Book stuff.
Right. Here's the Dark Trooper weapon, and as soon as I pick it up, there's an audio cue.
Go ahead, Kyle. Looks like I found something that can help us out. Get back to the landing pad, and I'll meet you there.
It'd be funny if she's flying back to the landing pad, and there's a cutaway where we see like a fucking xenomorph in the cockpit. It's just like the ship crashes.
It's just like Aliens.
Kyle gets in and puts his hand on the thing. Spunkmeyer, get up here.
You know, it would have been funny, speaking of Aliens, reminds me of Michael Biehn being
in Mando.
And I was thinking, I was like, oh yeah, he's like a hired gun, which is kind of cool. Like, kind of, it wouldn't really work, but I think an Imperial officer would have been cool too.
Right.
But he's too American.
Right.
But I was thinking, well, Bounty Hunter would be kind of cool. And then I thought, well, it would be really funny if he was Dengar. Like, they just put the rag on his head. I think he could do Dengar.
That would be funny. But the thing is, Michael Biehn is too good looking to play Dengar. You know, even
they can ugly him.
Ugly him up. I'll tell you what. I don't know if we talked about this. I don't think we did, or it wasn't on a podcast episode or anything. But Dengar is actually in the background of Rise of Skywalker. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's in like the visual guide. Or
Right,
something
it's like
that.
an Easter egg though, where obviously when they made it, they weren't intending that to be Dengar, but Pablo Hidalgo or somebody was like, let's just make this Dengar.
The guy's name's like Daff something or other.
Yeah, it's like one of his aliases.
It's almost a Dengar anagram, but not really.
Right.
It's different. But.
Right. All right, I gotta jump across here, I think. Almost back to the landing pad. Let's try this open. There's what I want. Extra life. No saves in this game. Just lives.
You gotta be one tough barv to play this game.
Right. That should be the advertising slogan. You gotta be one tough barv to play Dark Forces.
I wish they would use that term in Mandalorian.
I know,
once,
man.
Just as an Easter egg.
I'm not really gonna be happy until I hear it. It's so awkward using page up and page down to look around in this game. What were they thinking? Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go to the next level. That's the end of TAC Base. And let's see what we got. I can't remember. I don't think there's a cutscene, but...
We're about to find out.
Yeah, there's not.
Nothing.
What?